Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
What's up, guys? This is Osborne. You're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. My new project, Genesis, is dropping May 8th on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. You can keep up with me at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at OsborneLit. That's with 3 T's. I'll see you guys there.
You know, there's sort of a nexus of disinformation and automatic kook factor that gets associated with anything UFO and ET. And that's been done since the 1950s by the CIA, and it's been very effective. So a lot of people don't want to lose their respectability by touching the UFO issue. That's just true. I mean, it's a psychological warfare is the term used in the CIA document I have from 1953. I call this sort of infra-ultrasonic manufacturing, where if you imagine going beyond the speed of light, the speed of electrons, beyond the zero-point energy field, and creating sort of a architectural blueprint of a spacecraft that's in that dimension, like an astral, like your astral body, and have that resonate, and it comes into this dimension. Boeing's anti-gravity stuff. But these, the ET ones, are completely seamless, and the light coming from them is so amazing, it's so pure, you never quite forget it, because the light is coming from a source and materials that aren't manufacturable. You couldn't even manufacture something that pure in space. And there was a part of a craft that they got in Brazil, and I forget, it had magnesium and some other stuff in it. But the elements that were in it were so pure that even in the vacuum of space, we could not manufacture it.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. This is episode number 43. It's called the UFO EMF Phenomena. And today I'm going to explain a little bit of what these electronic magnetic fields are around these crafts, and when we capture them in pictures, right, that you'll be able to tell exactly if it's a real UFO or possible CGI, right? a lot of times these EMFs, they come out in old photos, even in the 40s and the 30s. You'll see that electronic magnetic field around the craft. And I wanted to talk about this today because I think it's important. It's important that that you guys know exactly what you're looking at sometimes when you're looking at photos or videos or anything like that. It's just some information that you really, really need. But before we get going, welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. You can catch us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. Go check us out there. Also, we have the Alien Strand app, and that's a player. So if you want to listen to Alien Strand on your mobile devices, on Android only right now, you can download that, and anytime a new episode comes out, you'll be able to catch that episode. And once you sign in and log in, you'll be able to comment on it and leave a like or a heart or a follow, and then I'll be able to comment back and forth with you guys, and even when I go live. So if you can download that, if you have a chance, that's at Google Play, or you can find it on alienstrand.com. Right there on the homepage, just go to the bottom right. You'll see the little Android there. Click on that, and it'll take you right to it. So if you ever want to be a guest on the show, just call us at 361-245-8000. Again, that's 361-245-8000. That's if you want to be a guest on the show. You have a book, you've seen UFOs, you have nice videos of it, you've had an abduction, you have, anything involving ufology or the unknown, please give me a call or send me an email, and I'll be glad to get you on the show. So, I've been doing a few podcasts here, and I'm already up to number, 43 now, and this one got a little delayed, and the reason for that is one of my good friends passed away. And actually, it was my dad's a good buddy. I lost my dad about 12 years ago. But, this gentleman, a good friend of my father's, and we used to go fishing and stuff all the time. And he passed away. So I held off a little bit on getting the podcast out. And I'm going to dedicate this show to him today. So his name is Mr. Ignacio Villarreal Sr. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being in our lives and us being around you. And we'll see you on the other side. So let's get going on this topic. If you ever been on my Facebook, there on Alien Strand on Facebook, you've noticed that I've been posting a lot of photos of, photos of the past, and from the 40s, 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Those were actually really, really good photos, because back then, those cameras, all they had was just one frame. That's it. It was 35 millimeter. Most of those cameras had that millimeter and that one lens, right? So you were just going to get that clear photo, and that's it. So, and a lot of these anomalies that they got in the sky had these, you could see like a shape around these crafts, right? It was like a clear photo, but when you see the craft, there's like an oval shape around the craft, and it's a little distorted, and that's the electronic magnetic field that we've been seeing on these crafts, right? So if you have a chance to go to Alien Strand there on Facebook, and you'll see a lot of these photos that I've been posting lately. And also go to the Extraterrestrial and Strange Happenings group. My friends over there with Jody and Anibal, they've been posting a lot of old photos as well. So go check those out. Like I said before, I wanted to get this out to you guys because I thought that this information is good for you to know. And like if somebody ever shows you a photo or anything, you'll be able to kind of look at it yourself and tell that if it's a UFO, right? So basically, what is a EMF, right? That's what we call them. So it's the inside source of an EMF is open circuited, 2. Conservative electronic field created by separation of charge exactly cancels these forces, producing an EMF. Thus, the EMF has the same value but opposite sign as the integral of the electronic field, aligned with an interval path between the two terminals, A and B, with portions outside the EMF in an open circuit condition, which the path is taken from the negative terminal to the positive terminal to yield a positive EMF, right? So all this is basically telling you there's two energy sources, right? And when you put them together with positive and negative, you're going to create that field, right? So when you see or you hear a few of my podcasts, even when you see a few of them on when they have the History Channel, and you'll see a lot of the UFO stories out there, people will talk about when they go inside these crafts, right, that they see like two beams at the bottom of the ship, right, that have like two ports, two large beams in there where it's like terminals almost, right, like what you see in a battery, but in a larger form. So what people have been kind of trying to put together is that whatever those terminals are, whatever's inside of these terminals is making that electronic magnetic field, right, around this craft. So and that magnetic field is produced by moving electric charges, right? So it's just constantly moving around, like the Earth has nothing but a big electronic magnetic field around it. Why don't we see it? Well, because we have our our solar system, our everything that's our clouds and everything that hides these electronic magnetic fields. We'll see them in our meters, right? Like if you have a meter touch the ground, like they do with the potato, everything has some kind of energy, right? So, but the Earth has it all over because it's spinning inside. So when you see these or hear these stories of these UFOs, you hear a lot of these people talk about that they see these two beams inside of these crafts, right? So and I'm just going to give you some cases, some physical and mental effects that people get from these UFOs, right, by being so close to these electronic magnetic fields. So electronic magnetic fields, which is a pulse, right, it can cause memory loss, and these are a lot of symptoms that are by abductees, things that these abductees have talked about, what they feel after they've been abducted, right? So they usually say they feel a tingling or standing hair, right? Female disorders or missing fetuses, falling asleep at inappropriate times, especially in the sight of an alien. You have sinus problems, headache, fatigue, even low blood pressure. A lot of people have disorientation, PTSD, depression, and they have implants and marks. And they also, I've talked about it before, they have a lot of unexplained healings. In other words, like they have a scar or something, it heals up pretty quickly.
Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better at Aquavita. Visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Of course, we have the memory loss again, and we have missing time. These are the two that you always hear about: memory loss, missing time. Memory loss and missing time by these abductees. Could it be these EMFs are creating this, or is it the actual extraterrestrial itself doing this to us as humans? To make us forget, not to remember the psychological effects that are coming from this actual abduction, right? So, and a lot of them have increased psychic abilities. And if you're around appliances, you'll have a lot of those malfunctions, right? So, I think on this last podcast, I talked about Lisa, right? That she had these psychic abilities and stuff like that because she was a hybrid. And she's able to have a few of these symptoms that are from these electronic magnetic fields, because she said that she had UFO experiences. As far as she never said about abductions, but she had a lot of experiences. So they say that exposure to an EMF can even permanently alter us spiritually. The abduction experience is changing not only experiencers or abductees, but it's changing our whole worldview, right? So, these people that get abducted, they go through a lot of traumatic effects, especially what I just talked about, all these symptoms, right? A lot of them do have them, like the Betty and Barney Hill. I always talk about that because even though Barney didn't last very long after their abduction, I believe he died of cancer. Does cancer have something to do with the electronic magnetic fields? In other words, getting exposed to that high level of radiation, right? So, and I have a feeling that yes, if you're too close to the craft, maybe there's a way that once these extraterrestrials come out of the craft, that electronic magnetic field is diminished in a way to where it's not as strong or powerful, right? So they kind of bring down the level so they can step out of the vehicle. So when a lot of these experiencers or people that have gotten close to these UFOs, they end up getting sick one way or another, or they have these burns and it lasts, or they have headaches and throwing up for about 2 or 3 weeks or even longer, or scarring, because the electronic magnetic field has not diminished yet. So, and I believe that that's possibly what's happening to these folks, that are experiencing these things. Is, like I said, is UFOs and sickness a connection? I think there is. And there's this story that I heard of, and this boy, I believe he's about 16 years old. His name was Ron Johnson, right? And he was with his dog. I believe the dog's name was Snowball. So they lived in this farm, middle of nowhere, right? And he was working in the barn, and then all of a sudden he heard this crash, kind of crashing sound, right? So he was in the barn. The dog ran out, and the dog started barking. So by the time Ron went outside and went to go look, he said he saw the dog and the pigs were going freaking nuts, right? Because they see this, there's something happening in the field, right? So Ron hears the crash again, right? Like another crash, but from the other side of the barn. So this time he walks to the other side of the barn, and lo and behold, right in the field, there's this object. It's a mushroom-shaped object. in the field, illuminating a bright light. And he said it was hovering about maybe 9 feet above the ground, which is pretty low, right? I mean, you're basically looking at something that's, the height of where it was hovering was no much bigger than a human being, right? So 9 feet, not very, very tall. So this craft is just hovering there. So he's looking at it, and the light is so intense and bright that he has to cover his eyes in order to look at this craft that's floating there, not making a sound at all. And then he said he could see this material that was melting off of the sides of it, like dripping, right, around the ship. I've seen a lot of videos and a lot of people talk about when they see these ships up close, or UFOs or crafts, that they see this material melting off of it, right? On some of them, but it's the light is so intense that it burns at times, right? So he said that Ron said he felt his eyes begin to burn, so almost like a sunburn, but on his eyes. He said the dog was right next to him, but it stopped barking. It just stopped barking immediately. It just stood there. And then all of a sudden, the craft lifts up and it starts to leave the area. So when it rose up, it was so bright, it started rising up. Well, the intensity of the light kind of diminished, and he was able to see again, right? He got his vision back for that moment. So he began to run back to the house from the barn where his mom and dad were outside. They're getting ready to have dinner ready outside. So when he approaches his mom and dad, he says, look up there. So they turn around and they look, right? And lo and behold, they see this mushroom-shaped craft floating in their field. So they all run up to it in the field, which is his mom, his dad, himself, and the dog. They run towards this craft again, but this time it's higher above the ground. And it's still illuminating this bright light and still melting this material. So they see this craft kind of just float away and disappear. And so Ron takes them back to where he first saw this craft, right? So when they go back to the area by the barn, they noticed that there was a tree right there next to the barn, and it had a big broken branch next to it, right? So the branch was huge, but it broke. So apparently this craft knocked itself into this branch and broke it, where this glowing material was on the branch itself. So when they went to go where this craft was hovering over in the field, there was a ring that was just glowing and glowing and glowing there. So Miss Johnson went and she touched this material that was on the ground. She said it looked like a powdery substance that was on the ground. And she says all of a sudden she felt her fingers go numb. Like when your hand falls asleep, your fingers fall asleep, or you lay on it all night long, and when you wake up and you're trying to, touch your fingers and get that tingling. Well, that's what she felt on her fingers because she touched this material. So what they did was Miss Johnson, after she saw that, ran back into the house, went and got her camera, and went back to the field and started taking photos. So she took a photo of the field, of the ring. And that, I believe, you can find today. So that ring that was on the ground actually glowed for years and years and wouldn't go away. They caught so many trespassers trying to go into their property to see this ring that after the Johnsons, his dad and mom passed away, or Ron ended up taking over the farm, right? So he says he got tired of trespassers, so he buried this ring of material or whatever it was that was continuing to glow. But then he noticed that nothing was growing around it. You know, what is this material? What was that stuff that was radiating off this mushroom-shaped craft? You know, I think they took samples, as a matter of fact, of that material, and they said that material was resistant to water, had continuous high levels of calcium oxalate, which is very corrosive, right? So I guess it kind of burns, maybe. So the result of that, Ron, his eyes ended up burning for like 2 weeks until it went away. And apparently the dog, Snowball, ended up getting blind in one eye shortly after. And then Emma Johnson, which is his mother, for the rest of her life, she felt like numbingness in her fingers. You know, there was some side effects from this illuminating light, or EMF, right? And this happened in 1971 in Delepos, Kansas. 1971 this happened.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
You know, why is there light coming from UFOs or these crafts? What is that intense energy that's inside of there? Or Dr. Alan Greer, you heard him at the beginning of this podcast, claims it's creating a field which resonates, then comes in a form of a transdimensional, near astral, right? And he says then it pops forward into a 3D space. I know that most of you do know who David Alan Greer is. Alan Greer, I'm sorry. You know, this man has been exposed to so much UFOs, and he's been in the highest level of security that you can ever imagine, and has, dissected a lot of these photos, and they call him first. The military would call him first when they would see a craft or something that he would, or even aliens. You know, they on one of his stories, he says that a naval ship ended up shooting down a UFO craft, and then lo and behold, when they went to that spot to where it had crashed, that they ended up finding a pod with 3 dead extraterrestrials inside. So they called him up. The captain did. And the captain wanted Dr. Greer to explain how these extraterrestrials got their suits on, because they had no seams. It almost looked like a part of their body. And he had to explain to him how it was done, possibly. And Greer claims that these UFOs are viewed as nanobiotechnology. In other words, he says it's a living thing. that the craft is like a living conscious, right? Conscious. And that it's controlled by the occupant in the craft. In other words, whatever this extraterrestrial is thinking, it does it. If it tells it to move, it moves. If it tells it to shapeshift into an airplane, it'll make itself look like an airplane. That's why he called it nanobiotechnology. You ever notice when people are when they see a UFO and they talk to it and it kind of listens and it comes back, or it flashes a light back at them, or they're thinking of, hey, stay, or can you come closer, and they come closer? This is why people are communicating with this UFO, because it is actually what you're doing is you're communicating with the extraterrestrial that's inside, that's controlling this craft, which is alive. Remember that, nanobiotechnology. I mean, that's a lot to take in, right? Especially, but it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've seen so many videos of people, I can summon UFOs. Have you seen those? It's the same thing. And it takes the awareness of the occupant, which is the alien inside, right? You know, do you think that these EMFs are part of element 115? We heard that before, right? When they were trying to make these man-made UFOs. I think we have some today. I think the ones that we are seeing that don't really have that major glow on them are the ones that are man-made. You know, that's a radioactive component. And the scientists just figured element 15 out. You know, Bob Lazar, remember him? He claimed to use it on UFOs, right? And is this a part of their propulsion system on UFOs? You know, Bob Lazar talked about element 15 way before they figured out how to manufacture it in a particle, right? You know, it's just like electromagnetism, right? It's applied with electricity, you know, large magnets vibrating, which can cause massive energy. They try to figure it out, right? So they think like maybe two large, massive magnets that are vibrating can make this kind of field. You know, they've been trying to put these things together on how these electronic magnetic fields on these UFOs are, you know, made. But I think that they still don't really have it yet. You know, probably close to it, but they don't really have it yet. And I wanted to bring this to you today because, you know, that way, if you do take photos of a UFO and you see these electronic magnetic fields around these photos, you'll see them when you zoom into them, or you crop out, keep cropping, you know, even if it's a picture that's far away. I'm going to show you how to do it. So if you zoom in, just keep cropping until you get to the craft, you'll start to see it. It'll start pixelating, right? But before the pixelation square, you'll see the electronic magnetic field. And there's some apps out there that are available to you that will help you see through these fields, right? In other words, you'll be able to capture a little bit better. You can work with the colors, and you'll be able to analyze these photos yourself. So one of these apps is called V2 Art. So if you have a chance, go look for that V2 Art. I use one called Pixlr. I have an iPhone, so that's what I use on mine, and Easy Filters. And there's another one called PixArt. These are actually my favorites that I use on my phone. So I'm able to analyze a lot of these photos in different spectrums, right? So you can catch a lot of these fields in these different spectrums. You just got to dig a little bit and kind of keep using the filter. And what it'll do, like if you use Pixlr, if you use one filter, you'll be able to put another filter on top of it, and it'll be able to open it up a little bit more for you. And then you can go back to the beginning if you mess up. So it's not like, once it's done, it's over. No, you can just keep on working it. Keep working it until you see what you're looking for. You can even get the heat sources from them. Even it has like that nighttime shooting. And you can, even with these filters, you'll be able to tell solid objects to fake ones. I believe there's like there's a filter in there called a gold filter, and with that filter, you'll be able to see if it's a solid object or not. You can even tell if it's a real craft or not by that solid object at times, or you'll be able to see the line is so straight that it's a CGI. That's how you'll tell. It's got a different glow to it. A lot of these CGIs, you can kind of make them out with, if it's real or fake. And you can do these yourself. And if you have any issues, like I said, you can find this group called Extraterrestrial and Strange Happenings Group. They select a very few people. And this group is for people that shoot their own photos and shoot their own videos, or find a video and they want it analyzed, and they show you how to do it themselves. They'll do it for you, but they'd rather show you how to do it instead, so that way you'll be able to tell if it's real or not. You can visit with Jody Gordon or Anibal Caballero there. Really, really, really good friends of mine. They're the ones that helped me, actually. So when I first started, like I said, podcasting last year, I had hundreds of photos, and I just kept on sending it to them. Hey man, help me out here. Can you help me fix this? And can you find out if it's real or not? And they would, they'd be glad to. They're wonderful people. They helped me out a lot. And then after a while, I said, hey, well, how do you do this? And they showed me, and which is what I'm doing today for you. So that way you'll be able to use these apps to analyze them yourselves in these different spectrums. And don't get me wrong, these spectrums are not always going to work. You're probably going to get maybe a 75% to an 80% chance of a hit or a miss. So they're not 100%. So, if, like I said, if you have a chance, just work with these apps, and then you'll notice that the more that you work with these apps, the better you'll get. It doesn't take long. I think it only took me like a week to start figuring these things out. And that's why I wanted to talk about electronic magnetic fields, because they're very important into knowing what's a real craft and what's not when it's out there, when you're seeing it on Facebook, or you're seeing it on Instagram, or you're seeing it, with photos or videos. So that way you can make the final call and say, hey, it's real, or hey, that's CGI, or it's fake, or it's real. You'll figure it out yourself before you make that final judgment on your comment. I'm not coming down on anybody that is not making good comments. We appreciate everybody's comments and their feedback. But this right here will help you figure out exactly what you're doing. And as far as these electronic magnetic fields, if you're into ufology, if you're really, really into ufology, these apps right here will help you find out exactly what's real and what's not. So that way when you You're not second guessing yourself most of the time. And I thought it was important to bring this issue out and this story of what happened to Ron and his family, because it's a possibility that the electronic magnetic field affected them, right? It did affect them. We just don't know how much energy is in one of those crafts. It could be enough to power up the earth. You know, I know that they've gotten a hold of some crashed UFOs in the past. We all know that. But have they figured out how to use this? How they figured out how to make this? Is there an element on these crafts that we just can't figure out? Or maybe it's something that's not produced here on Earth or on this planet. It could be an element that just makes it different. But I wanted to bring this out to you guys, so that way you guys can figure out yourselves if these crafts, you know, the ones that are illuminating so brightly in the sky, and you see them in videos all the time, and then you'll see the ones that are not illuminating, right? So that way you'll be able to figure out, okay, that's not an EMF. It's possibly man-made. You know? Just something to think about. And it's a little information for you too as well. I mean, we all work together here. And I'm here to help you figure out exactly what, you know, we're doing with these crafts and everything that's going on, and you know, and it's just one of those things that we're just trying to figure out together, right? You know, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I hope you got a little bit more information on UFOs and EMF phenomena. You know, there's a lot more to it. I just gave you a small section of it. And, you know, if you can, you know, if you can explain this to somebody else and you heard it on Alien Strand, hey, tell them you heard it on Alien Strand. Check it out. Check out podcast number 43 if you want to know about it. Tell your friends. You know, I'm glad that everybody's listening to Alien Strand podcast. It's growing. It's still growing. Everybody from all over the world is listening to Alien Strand. And I really do appreciate that. And next week, I have a very special guest. She's going to come on possibly Wednesday or Thursday. And she is an alien abductee. This is going to be a very, very interesting podcast coming up next, which is number 44. Next week. You guys stick around. Listen for that podcast. She's got a heck of a story that's been happening to her since she was a little girl. So we're going to get her on the show next week. And I'm excited to have her on. And I'm happy that she's going to be able to tell the story to you guys. And here on Alien Strand. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And a good night.
Strand Podcast.
Natives, Coastal Bend, and Corpus Christi, Texas. And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.